Hi, everybody, and welcome to Season 8. I'm here bringing you Devil Dinosaur, the new character, the new tank coming to Marvel Rivals in the coming days. This character seems really, really gross. He seems really strong, dude, and he seems really, really fun, too. Uh, this has been a shocker. I wasn't expecting them to actually release this character. A really good friend of mine, he was talking about really, really wanting him to come into the game, and I was like, I don't think they'd do that, right? I don't think that they would do that. I was very wrong. Devil Dinosaur is here. He's the next character, and he is a beast. Dude. Literally, like he's really, really, really cool. I think he's going to be a really good addition to the tank roster for this game, and I think that he's actually going to shake up the meta quite a bit. I think his kit is really, really interesting and it has a lot to offer. We're going to go ahead and break everything down, starting with the passives. His prehistoric plating passive at the bottom right-hand corner is going to take reduced damage from critical hits. He's immune to launch, knock-up, and other displacement effects, and enemies and allies generate less ult ability energy when damaging or healing him. Pretty much what this means is he's not going to be able to be moved, much like the Thing. He can't be like thrown, he can't be pushed. You know, he can only be stunned or rooted. Those are the only CC abilities, and slowed, obviously. Those are the only CC abilities that are going to harm him. And he's also going to generate less ultimate charge for your team and the rest of the enemy team whenever they damage him, as well as he's taking reduced crit damage. I imagine this has to do with the fact that he's got so much HP, man. He's got 850, and that is a crazy number to be on this character. I'm going to go ahead and show you kind of what it looks like to not be able to move him. I think Invisible Woman is probably the best person to do this with. So as we know, she pushes and pulls. If we go ahead and take just a sneak peek, Devil Dinosaur is not moving at all whenever we're hitting him. So that's, pretty good. I'm actually going to go ahead and swap this over to a different tank so I can show off some of the other parts of his kit, because he does have a grab, and I do want to show that to you guys. Alrighty, next ability, Apex Advantage. Gain bonus HP whenever you inflict bleed and deal damage. The bleed is something that we're going to talk about here in just a moment. Primal Bite. This is a bite forward. It will bite forward and it'll apply bleed that will deal continuous percent-based damage. The bleed is going to be really, really good. The tankier the enemy is, the more bleed that you're going to inflict on them. And that is going to be really good for anti-tank. So whenever people are running, it's going to be especially apparent inside of like single tank comps whenever your team is running a Devil Dinosaur and their team is not. He's just going to nuke you. You can already kind of just see, this is just all basic attacks, and it's just building, and then he's taking a lot of damage. This will be less on smaller targets, obviously, but over time, that coupled with the other damage that your team is doing and the other aspects, like in ways that this character applies that bleed, you're going to see a lot more of it, right? And it's going to be just really, really gross. The next thing we're going to talk about is Impact Beam. This is his alternate fire. Unleash a devastating beam of energy that inflicts bleed and slow and knocks down airborne targets. This is on a charge. Let me go ahead and turn off the infinite cooldown. This is on a charge. It has a meter to it. The damage on this isn't bad. So you're actually going to be able to build this up and, bleed them from range. That's pretty good as well. It's going to allow him to kind of tussle inside of poke comps instead of just being a walking punching bag, which is good because a lot of the problem that a lot of these other tanks play, this isn't exactly a very fast tank, right? A lot of the other issues that these slower tanks have in this game is that whenever they are punch only, they just get shut down. You can probably consider Penny Parker to be in that list as well a little bit. I know she has a range cannons, but whenever people get on top of her, just shooting her from range is the best way to deal with that because she can't really stun you or anything like that. The Thing also, if he can't catch you, then he just does nothing until he can jump to you or get somebody else to walk up with him. Characters like Hulk, he has a leap so he can get in and out, but he's, similar in that fashion of you can poke him down. So this is going to be a really, really good poke tool and allow him, and there's a pretty good amount of charge on it. It doesn't exactly do as much damage as the melee, which I think is fine, but I think the other aspects of applying a slow, more CC, that's just always going to be a really helpful thing to do. We're going to go ahead and show it off knocking down the robot. So as you can see, it just drops the guy. And the damage on it against squishies is not that bad. Here's the damage against a 250 target as for his bite. But that damage for the laser beam is not terrible. It's not exactly a lot, but the bleed over time obviously is going to help this a lot. and that's still pretty good. You're also generating that bonus HP, and you get to be really, really tanky whenever you just start super inflicting it. Like we go ahead and see, we're at 1,050 HP right now, and that is really, really gross. The next thing that we're gonna look at is... That is not what I wanted to do. Hold on. That is not what I wanted to do. My fault. The next thing that we're going to go ahead and take a look at is his... what is that? Frenzied Feast? Unleash a flurry of continuous bites, converting the damage dealt into bonus HP and dealing damage against bleeding targets. And that is going to be his F for me on PC. So all this is that you're going to do a bunch of bites, and it's going to generate bonus HP. And it does extra damage against bleeding targets. So this is the base damage without them being bled. Let's go ahead and take a look against them while they're bled. That does a lot more, actually. Yeah, that's way more damage. So you actually become quite a powerhouse. The cooldown on that is actually not even that high either. So if I do that, and then I go into that, and then just back into chomping, you're going to melt down tanks pretty easy. Especially because if you think of it this way, right, even if they're a shield tank or anything like that, if they're holding up the shield, it doesn't matter. You're still going to be dealing bleed through their shielding, right? It doesn't matter that this is going to be a thing. And I imagine this also works with anti-heal too. So, like, if they're anti-healed, they're still taking that bleed damage. It's going to be even slower for them to recover HP, right, if they're taking both. So you go ahead and pop this on a shield tank, and then you're just dealing so much damage to them. Imagine, like, a Blade or an Amor... or a Gambit put anti-heal on that target as well, it's just going to feel super heavy of, like, the damage that you're going to take. It's going to be really hard to get rid of. The next thing that we're going to talk about is Buddy Barrier. Activate the heart-shaped generator to expand a spherical shield that blocks incoming damage. Enemies caught within it are slowed. This is going to be just a giant shield, and it looks like... So it's going to be a shield that blocks damage with 450 HP. That's a pretty decent size. You can actually tank quite a bit with this. And it's not on an infinite cooldown, so you don't really just pop it and it just sits there forever. But that's a pretty good length of time, right? That's just like a big mag bubble that people can actually step inside. That's not bad, especially if you're going to consider that you're also slowing them down. Pretty good ability. Savage Predation. Dash and pounce on your prey with a vicious bite, applying bleed. If the target is already bleeding, clamp down before hurling them away. So it's a dash... And then if we proc bleed, they will be thrown. So let's go ahead and see that. So I proc bleed, dash onto him, and then I can throw him. Wow. So that's good. That's really good displacement. That'll be really good against shield tanks. Magneto, Doctor Strange, even Thor's going to have some issue with that, right? I don't think that... Man, can you 1v1 Thor on this character? I don't know, actually. With your bleed and then your chompies, the multiple bites thing you do, I actually have no idea. So this is going to be very, very interesting. I want to see, like, what's the range on that? So not bad. Okay, and then you could probably, if you're close enough, I imagine that you will be able to do some spawn shenanigans where you carry them inside. Okay, if you hold it down, you don't get more, though. So what would the combo be that you're looking for here? So it would be something like bite into F and then to chomp. You can actually animation cancel that, too. You can animation cancel the multiple bites. So you could just go right after the thingy. So you could do, like, bite, chomp into throw. And then just get them there. That's not bad either. Especially if you think about it, if you put the shield up first, right? So if you laser them, then shield, and then you go in. Because you can't be stunned, right? They can't throw a stun through your shield. So that's actually going to give you a really, really good structured piece in order to put that bleed on them, pop your shield, and then walk up without hesitation, so you're not going to be stunned. And you can't be pushed. So this is just going to be free CC over and over again if you are popping the shield on repeat. So that's going to be really obnoxious to fight against because you're just never really going to be able to get on top of them unless you have somebody with a stun sitting behind your tanks. Because they're like, Emma will obviously be fine to deal with, and do things with that, but it won't always be the case, right? So that's very, very interesting. Very surprised to see that. Okay. The next thing to do is the ultimate. Erupt in Primal Fury, gain a massive movement speed boost while unleashing earth-shattering stomps. With that, launch enemies and apply a bleed. I gotta reread this. So you gain movement speed, and then you knock enemies up, and you also apply bleed, and then you slow enemies hit. Okay, so if I pop this, just everything behind me, and then we can chomp into the throw. Oh, well, okay, so a lot to unpack here. Right. So, for one, you're actually not going to be able to throw people inside of this a lot of the time because they can fall out of it because of your ult. So, if you're going to be doing this, then you want to be doing something like this into that, into your bleed and your shield. And then you want to, after that, go into the bleed and everything like that so you can get your chomps off. That'll be a lot more helpful and beneficial. Okay. So that's interesting to see. Okay, and then... Wow, okay, so... He can lose his momentum and stop... You can stop being grabbed if he pops it early. That's interesting. Okay, no problem. Sure. Alright, I want to see this one more time, though. I want to see... Like, how would you get around this within your ult, right? So, pop... That's not so bad. Okay. Because you're fast enough now that you can actually close that gap. But man. The damage from this ultimate on single target is going to feel really good. Like, he's just going to be able to tussle with tanks the whole time, I feel. That's not bad at all. Okay. I love to see it. This is a lot more simplistic than something like what we had with Black Cat. So it's actually very intriguing to see. Comparatively to what we got, like Rogue, the last Rogue and Deadpool, like the two of the last tanks that we got, and like Black Cat, the last DPS. This is actually a much more like simple. I don't want to say one-dimensional as in bad design, because I think he's going to be really fun. Because just because something is complex doesn't mean that it can't be fun, right? I think that for a dinosaur character like this, they hit the nail on the head pretty much. Like the power fantasy of like running around as being a big fucking dinosaur, like that hits home, right? And that's really cool. So I think that they did a good job. I know a lot of people are upset about Moon Girl, myself included. I think that they should have included her in some way, shape, or form. You know, it maybe being a bubble. I read the reasons why they couldn't. Of course, I can still be disappointed and acknowledge that is, you know, the case, right? I wish she was a part of the character in some way other than just voice lines, but we live in a reality where sometimes that's just not what we get, right? And that sucks. But, I mean, as far as being a dinosaur goes, love it. He's super duper cool. He's very cute as well. That is another thing. I'll go ahead and show you guys the skin really quick. And this one's cute. I think I like the base design a lot more because he's just a stupid dinosaur with a big silly look on his face, and that's really cute. Will I play this character? Yeah, I don't see why not. I think that he'd be fun. I think that he's really simple and easy. So I think that he's actually going to be a good tank for a lot of people to just pick up. And I think that's the point. I think that them moving in a direction of like, this is a character for everybody that everyone is going to be able to play is nice. And I think that it's nice that we, I mean this in like a super duper like nice way. Like I love characters like Rogue, Angela, Emma. Like they're all super duper cool. I wanted a silly tank. I wanted something different that wasn't just like big strong woman, big strong man. I wanted something different, and I think that they did a good job with that. I think that moving the needle away from, expanding on creativity and getting some other lesser known characters alongside a really really big character like Cyclops. And I know a lot of people are upset Cyclops isn't a tank. Tough scene. Like I'm excited. I'm really excited. He's a DPS. I know you guys. Some of you won't be, and especially you tank players. Understandable. I feel for you. I definitely do, especially because Gambit is one of my favorite Marvel characters. He's a support, and I don't really like playing support all that much in this game in particular, so I understand where you're coming from, right? But that's it for me. I appreciate you guys watching. Thank you so much for all the love and support. If you want to see more Devil Dinosaur, you want to see some gameplay of this character, let me know down below, and I will get that out for you, and I will have a guide ready for this character the day that he launches. So until then, I'll see you guys later, and love you, bye. Wah, 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 wah. Kiss goodnight. Wah.